So I just took the parks component and just made it miscellaneous, so. That's why you see lights in the ball field on that.
Okay.
Any feedback, any other feedback? I know it's, like I said, it's not the most exciting, tried to run through it really quick, but just wanna be able to get this list, get a list of projects, you know. I'll work with Jim to get dollar values tied to all these, and then get something put together for League of Cities to be able to, for them to at least get a starting point. It doesn't have to be perfect.
We just need to give them some numbers, and
Yes.
ballparking is what we need right now. Ballpark,
Yep.
right? So they know.
Yep. So if you're good with this, and what we'd just be looking for is just, if you could, if
So
the
you
council
would-
would
you
be
would
approved
basically
the
summarize-
priorities.
You would summarize this and then submit that with the.
Yes.
I approve the capital improvement list as provided and discussed.
I'll second.
Okay, Dave makes a motion, Brian does a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion carries. We got 16A here, Brett, you want to talk about?
Okay, 16A, that one is tied to,
Part-time,
yeah, a comparison between, working with consultant versus part-time for assistance of our transition to Black Mountain, helping with cleaning up our audit, cleaning up our financial side components of the city. I have sat down and talked with Vance about this a little bit, so he was aware of it and get his feedback too. We had a proposal from a consulting firm that they would be able to help out with the Black Mountain side, that conversion over to software, and help clean up our audit. But their role would be more of the help identify the steps, get their hands into the project a little bit, but they would not be doing the work. Majority of the work would be done by our staff. That cost would be $20,000. We have an opportunity. There's an individual that is just kind of a fluke situation, I think, that has a very strong background when it comes to auditing. He's a CPA, and he's available. He's willing to work part-time, full-time, very reputable in the area. He has done audits for years for West Fargo, the city of Wapaton, and many other political subdivisions in the state. But we have an opportunity to work with somebody, you know, what we'd be looking at as a part-time basis, and they would be able to help us kind of see, really focus more like a project manager of cleaning up these different areas, helping work with Vance and Mateo on those different areas. We would, the advantage of that is if we had somebody on part-time like this individual, it would be, we would get a lot more hours of work out of them compared to going to the consulting route.
For the same amount of money.
Similar amount of money.
Similar amount of money.
So to give you a comparison, if they were at a very similar wage to where Vance is at, versus what the consultant rate is for the hours, we'd be getting about 5 hours of part-time employee for every 1 hour we'd be getting of a consultant rate, because you're not paying all that overhead and additional costs and things. So that's the benefit we're looking at. We would be able to have that part-time employee on for almost a whole year to be able to mirror costs. If we have them on the full year at 20 hours a week, they would be at a cost of $30,000, or we'd get less than 200 hours of the consultant at $20,000.
The only question I have is, would we run into labor laws if we have them part-time, they can only work so many for the year, right?
They'd have to, I think it's averaging under
There has to be
32.
an average of a certain number of hours before we have to offer them notice.
That's if they're a seasonal employee. If they're part-time, we have a part-time employee in Public Works that's been with the city for a few years now.
I know, but he doesn't work over, I thought there was a certain limit that they have to work under in
Yeah.
a year to
Well,
still be considered part-time.
I
We
think
would-
there is, but I think it's averages out to like, was it 32 or?
It has to be more than 32, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't think
34.
we're
As
not
long as
gonna,
we're planning for
Yeah.
20 hours a week and we're.
average, yeah, I don't think we're gonna go any more.
Yeah, I don't believe we'd be exceeding that.
And this person is a CPA?
The person that we're looking at, I've talked with him. Corey and I met with him last week. He is a CPA and he has quite a few other credentials tied to auditing.
I'm just shocked that
Yeah.
CPA is willing to work part-time.
Yeah, but
That's most excellent, right?
and it could lead in the future. Could lead to full time. We don't know. So it just depends what opportunities present itself.
Well, getting somebody that would be able to work hand in hand with us is obviously
A good thing.
a very good thing versus, yeah, anybody that's willing to work part-time is gonna save us a lot of money versus paying a consultant to do the work.
Well, that's what he said too, you know, he has no problem doing the part-time thing, and he's kind of enthusiastic about helping us out on this. He actually had read our audit, so,
What?
yeah.
Yes.
It's, you know, you can get it
And he
online.
didn't run away?
Didn't run away.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I'm saying, you know, it's kinda like when we had that discussion, it was like, well, cool,
Yep.
you know. That's what you thought too, you know, helping us to do that transition would be right up his alley, so.
Yeah. He was very excited about working with audits, numbers. That's what he enjoys, and
How many of those guys really like to work with a city, you know, come on, we might wanna really get on this one.
So what's our action here that we need?
So basically, just looking at if council would like us to do a part-time, or look at a part-time position with this individual, then I would just say it's authorized Councilmember Fenelon and I to interact with them and extend offer and see if they take.
Yep.
So
I would make that motion to authorize you guys to go start that part-time negotiation. I'd much rather have somebody part-time working with us than a contractor consultant.
Exactly, we'll get more out of this one. So can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Dave does a second. I suppose. We'll roll call it. Dave,
Yes.
Chelsea,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
okay. So, yeah, Brian, let's
Yep.
get that one going right away then, so we.
I will reach out to him. I'll shoot him an email tonight, and we'll.
I mean, if he suddenly has this epiphany, you know, that he was
Yeah.
daydreaming or something, we'll catch him.
Yeah.
That's huge. You get-
Yeah, I mean, it's, honestly, it was enjoying talking with him, because it was just the enthusiasm of doing this type of work, you know. You don't find that many people
Well-
share enthusiasm
You
for,
guys will obviously be checking on the background and so forth. to
Yeah.
ensure that
Yeah.
Say they are who they say they are.
We'll check
Yeah.
references and
Yeah, and I have checked around with some folks already, and
Yeah.
they seem legit.
That's great.
This was just a fluke situation. I mean, we were looking at the getting consultant help, and then, I mean,
sometimes
usually
it just happens.
This
It
is a
just
gift.
happened.
Yeah.
So,
This is a gift to have somebody that has his credentials.
Yep.
work
Yeah.
part-time.
Yeah.
so
All right.
I'll touch base with
Yeah.
Dave, and
Take it
we'll
with Dave
touch
and
base
we'll-
with this individual and see if we can sign
Get that done.
Yep.
Okay, 17, go.
Just a reminder, legislative update. Legislative session starts, I believe, January 7th. We have met with Councilmember Johnson, Corey and I met with Representative Mike Howell, and Senator Gary Lee. Those are two of our three legislators for the Horace area, or for Horace. We've expressed the interest of council and the city of where priorities lay for this upcoming session, where we talked about at last council meeting. Also talked about just what's going on in Horace, so they're aware. But just a reminder, we will be engaging them throughout the legislative session. So if there are concerns that you have as it comes up, I'll try to keep council updated with what we're hearing from the League of Cities. But if you have any concerns, let me know, and we'll communicate that with them. We've talked about we want to really establish a strong relationship with our legislators, something we haven't done very aggressively in the past.
That's what I was thinking. Can we also ask them to get us on the radar when they have questions,
Yeah.
right? That
We
would
are.
like to be able to,
Yep.
hey, you know what?
Yep, it's a two.
And
We've got this started now.
One thing that the Horse District has, we're in a great situation compared to a lot of other areas. Our senator is on the Appropriations Committee. Representative Howell is on the Appropriations Committee for House. So we have it from both sides. And then Representative Pyle is on the Political Subdivisions Committee. So, and Education.
It's all good.
So we have, when you look at interest for Horace, we have very, very strong representation on the different committees that really help a lot for the interests of Horace. So,
But we will be keeping everybody engaged because this is gonna be an important session for our town. So we gotta pay attention.
and we encourage any of the residents or anybody else, if you have concerns, talk to them. They are very willing to talk. Easiest way to get hold of them is by email, obviously, especially during the session, because they'll be at their computers and they are going to see those emails pop up, and they will look at, are you from Horace, are you from their area? They're going to pay attention to that quite a bit. Are you a constituent out there? So.
Do they do periodic town halls with some of the communities? I don't know.
I don't believe so. But when we met with the two legislators, a city coming to them hasn't really happened a whole lot. And so in their district they have Horace, Mapleton, and Castleton. And we're the first one to really sit down and engage them. At least that's what I got from
Okay,
them.
yep.
I don't know, Chelsea, if you got anything different from them, but
I mean, I really, if we could, it'd be nice to be able to facilitate a town hall with them
I
to,
agree.
encourage residents to come and
Yeah.
be able to
Meet 'em.
hear them present to us, kind of like what Blake Crosby did. I mean, that was educational for him
Oh.
to come present to us, right? So we could hear from our representatives what things they're working on, but then also to give them feedback.
Why don't you see if the 29th would work? I don't know, we'll throw it out.
I think it will be difficult
I know.
because it's during
legislative
session.
Yep.
So, but we'll extend the invite.
Extend the invite, they can always
See
say
if
no.
See if there's a time in January we could do a town hall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We could try.
we have talked about that a little bit, saying that even when the session is done, we'd still like them to come to Horace, interact with the council and residents. If it's twice a year or whatever it is, but start to get to know our representatives because it'll help a ton. Getting to know them, know where their interests are, and then hearing feedback from our residents. So, but we did bring that up, but due to timing with the legislative session, we needed to do more of a one-on-one engagement with them.
Right?
The state of city, just Corey could expand a little bit more on that, but basically just kind of giving residents, of course, the opportunity to hear what's going on, what we've accomplished, or last year, where we're going in the next year or two.
And we're gonna get some pretty maps from Jim.
Yep.
We're gonna
Basically-
wow them with our presentation.
Basically, basically I said the format I'd like to have is to have a little open house ahead of time so people can look at the different maps that we've got. We kind of show what's going to be going on, especially the developments, because that's what we want people to understand the changes that are going to be coming to town here, especially up north, so that nobody's, all of a sudden, a whole bunch of backhoes start showing up and ripping up the road, and everybody's wondering why. I want to try to make sure people understand what's going on up there. And then explain too some of the things that are going on in the south here. Talk about the diversion a little bit, because I still don't think people understand where the Plan B alignment is going. And that's something that I want to make sure everybody's aware of, because it does impact the city. And then we talked about that Stantec being there. Would be kind of nice just to kind of introduce themselves and explain what we're doing with the comp plan, and everything like that.
That's gonna be good.
And
It's
then
gonna
just,
be good.
I'd also like to have somebody from West Fargo schools come down. I'll talk to either Mark or
Yeah.
Beth.
That's
Beth.
you and Beth. That's probably the best.
But if we could get one of those two to come down,
Yep.
just for questions, because that's going to be the thing. I want them to be able to answer some questions.
We'd like to have even a corner where the school could have, a corner of the room
Yeah.
for open house where there's school stuff, so we could talk.
I mean, even if they brought down like the a footprint of what we're looking at right now, the last layout of what it's going to look like up there, that's really all they need. They can kind of show people, still don't know where the school's going to go. I brought it along to a Lions function last Thursday, and people weren't really sure. Oh, really? That's where it's at, Not so. It's just we got to do some education. That's all.
Is this at the senior center or?
Yeah.
Yes,
The
senior
center
center
locked
is
up,
what we
right?
have booked for the evening of the 29th.
Okay.
So,
We'll keep
Or
talking.
all-
We'll keep
Oh.
talking on this.
Good.
Maybe we should sell tickets.
We want people to come.
Yeah, I want people to show up.
Hey, if you don't, grab get your tickets early,
Yeah.
right, or else there won't have a seat.
And then the last thing I had was just a utility rate update, which I talked about pretty much all within the budget. Just a reminder that we are looking at the water sewer, really see how we can make sure we're covered for upcoming years. That's all I had.
Okay, so
Oh, just a quick thank you to everybody that you guys were able to meet up with Matt last week. January 7th is his start date. We haven't scared him away, so.
he says he's coming back.
He said
so
he's
we're
coming
all
back,
good.
so we're excited about that. But like I said, January 7th is his start date, and thank you for taking time to meet up with him last week. So
Yep.
I think everybody at the table here was able to catch up with him at least for a little bit of time when he was in last week.
Okay. All right, so portfolio updates, I'll keep it quick here. Diversion update, we had another meeting with the city of Fargo and the Diversion Authority. We're gonna do some work with their engineering people, come up with some ideas here, and we're gonna meet again in January. I don't know if we've solidified a date, but we were gonna meet on a monthly queue here and keep this conversation going. We should probably meet, Brent, you and I should meet, and Brian maybe ahead of time and have a little discussion about some of the presentation options that we want to do here in the next go around. Anyway, and the second thing I had that isn't listed on here is we did go out and listen to Doug Burgum give his budget speech. Bismarck League of Cities invited us to come on out, so we kind of had a discussion afterwards about some of the presentation. I think there's some, there's some animosity, obviously, between the legislative branches and the governor's office. I think they'll be able to iron some of those things out, but it's pretty evident that the legislatures have their own agenda, and the governor has his own ideas. So we'll see how some of this flushes out, but I do like the governor's proposal on technology where he's trying to do matching funds. If you come up with an idea and want to do something with they're going to be able to produce some matching funds to help out. I think that's a great idea as opposed to just giving a straight out grant, skin in the game, that kind of thing. So I think that's a good idea. He's probably got some other things. We'll see where things shake out, but what we really are looking for and trying to push is that the Prairie Dog Fund. That would be very, very helpful to the city at this point. We are going to continue to push in a positive with our legislators to keep that moving along. And that's all I got. John, you're quiet. Dave, what do you got?
Nothing major, but he took the, Matt starts on the 7th, so that was great, and I want to say thanks to everybody who met with them, and yeah, we didn't chase him away, so I think it's a very positive thing. He seems to be very charged up, and his girlfriend, his significant fiance, something or whatever, had multiple interviews on Monday, so that sounded very positive too. So I hope that makes an easy transition if she's able to get a job too. So, but my second thing was, as Brent said last meeting, we now have our 3 public works employees on full time. They're going through doing stuff, so I hope you guys are seeing benefits of streets generally seem to be very, very clear, which is good, and some things like that. They're doing more and more tasks to try and keep up. So I'm excited to get Adam some time to start trying to plan a few things and get ahead of a few things here and there now that he's got 2 full-time people plus a part-time person. So.
Yeah, good.
So at the end of the year, we will have how many full-time city staff?
If you include Matt, how many?
Well, if you count Matt, so you have, so 9, I believe it was.
So there you go, how many we have at the beginning of the year. No, we don't count Jim.
No, he's talking about
9 people fit in
Was
there?
it 9?
no, not me.
The public works are in there, it's just Adam. So
Is the shop heated or is it just
Yeah.
8, I believe.
With Matt.
They just
you guys are
8
cool.
with Matt.
Yeah, Lucas,
So
we're a rough crowd here, man.
That's the
it's like
reason
8.
why, City Hall is gonna be
Yeah.
It's
the
a
top
little
discussion.
space heater.
9, we'd have
Those are
8
little
full-time, 1 part-time, and then we do have a part-time position that might be proposed as full-time, depending on if we're able to partner with the fire district, so.
So I think it would be good to, it would be nice to have a year-end summary,
plus the
have
person that
stats
does
of
the
But-
where we started out at the beginning of the year and where we ended up.
Sure.
Because we made a lot of changes.
Well,
right?
and actually, if you're looking at it, it would be 2 part-times, because you have the one you guys were just talking about earlier, tonight. So, I mean, there's a lot of different staffing changes and everything, improvements. We're going to be really able to focus on level of service improvements, what we're doing different,
So that
what
we
they
need
can
to get that
expect.
word out.
Yep.
We need to get that word out that
And we're starting to see it, like Dave mentioned, with Public Works. You're going to start seeing it with the other areas too.
So now we just need a snowman to prove it out. Let them prove it out.
We get our truck.
Well, I was just going to say, the truck is getting its final alignment, and we're hoping to have it here. We're hoping to have it here tonight. I was going to surprise you guys with it being in the
Show
front.
it off.
Yeah, but we're hoping to have it later this week. When it is, we'll let everybody know.
Yeah, take some pretty pictures to get them up on
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Let
We-
people know.
We had a little bit of delay in it because we found out the alignment wasn't right because it was one of the back trucks when it was getting pulled here, and the yoke was off a little bit, so they had to replace that. Yep.
Can't be simple.
Nope.
You good?
So-
Yeah, I'm good.
Chelsea, what do you got?
Brent and I met with Andrea from A2S today about the economic development marketing grant. And there was a couple other people at the meeting. I can't remember their titles and such, but the one does economic development. And so we had a really good conversation about some of that stuff, and we talked about some future events and getting people more involved with some of that. So it was a good conversation.
Good. Cool.
Yeah, maybe there again, when you get something that's either actionable, are you looking for community input or community engagement at all with some of that, or no?
Well, what I'm thinking is of kind of heading maybe 4 events a year each season, and trying to maybe in January engage on Facebook to see if anybody wants to join and help, because obviously I can't do it all. So we would hopefully get some members of the community that want to be a part of that. And
Because I've been looking at that in terms of other cities' websites and everything, and how they do business directory and business, let businesses advertise and attract both people as well as customers. And, sometimes the city can facilitate that. And like you said, the more engagement we get from those businesses in that business community and plus the directing the economic development, that will help.
that was another event that I had an idea of getting the local businesses together for like a thank you luncheon where we maybe could get a speaker that would engage some topics and go over some of those things with them.
That's good.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Right, Brian, you're up. What do you got?
No, nothing else at this point.
You said everything you needed to say, huh?
Hey. Careful what you ask for.
Don't
No doubt. Russ, go.
I think policy board meets this week.
Yes,
Yeah.
John is the rep, and if he's not gonna show up,
I will be there if he is.
okay.
Yep, because I am his alternate, so I'll be there if he is unable to.
Covered.
Yep.
Okay.
Motion adjourned.
Second.
Brian, Dave, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We're done.
Noted.
So we went, what, 2.5?
Yeah, not bad.
It's not bad with everything.
I'm not.
Yeah, with everything on the plate.
It's just,
Oh, okay.